That's right. GMFB, welcome in, everybody. It's a Thursday in early June, which means we have so much to talk about in the NFL. It's just the gift that keeps on giving, right, Cynthia? Cynthia Freeland, Jayden Slater, Kelsey Conway's in New York. Listen, you know Kelsey's writing from the Cincinnati Bengals. She writes for the Cincinnati Enquirer and USA Today. Jayden Slater all over the beat for the Cowboys and the Saints, and frankly, anywhere we need to send her for NFL Network, she's on the field. Cynthia Freeland, usually Sunday mornings, you get the treatment and all over our fantasy coverage as an analytics expert. How was your alarm clock today?
Actually, I was pretty excited.
Yes.
I'm going to take you a little bit behind the curtain, and Jane slept over at my house, so we had a really good time.
Oh.
The dogs were up. Everyone was, I mean, my dogs were basically like not giving her any personal space.
Oh, great.
It was perfect.
How are you, Jane?
Good. I mean, first of all, I love coming out and seeing my NFL family when I get to come out here for the LA assignment. But yeah, absolute treat. You know, it's been since college. You've lived with a roommate and you were doing your homework at the dinner table for the night before, because we know we've got eyeballs on us today.
Amen.
You know, and so I think it was Gail King who once said, our margin of error is so small. So we made sure that we brought you some hot takes today.
Yeah, let's go. Kelsey, first time on GMFB, first time sitting in that chair in New York. Can you give us a flavor of Cincinnati? What is the thought of GMFB in Cincinnati and the coverage that the Bengals get?
Big fans of the show, and that's why it's so cool for me to be on with you guys today, because I watch the show every morning, so I'm thrilled to be on and holding down the fort here in New York. And so far, Kyle's kept it pretty clean.
Good.
So I have a positive report back here from New York.
Oh, man. We'll decide if we're going to share that with him. Guys, in true GMFB territory, we have a brand new segment to try out on everybody today. It sounds like the perfect time to do it. We're going to go 4 down territory. We're ripping through 4 topics. Everyone's got to have a take, as Jane mentioned. And our first, of course, we got to start in Cleveland with the quarterback room. It's just the lowest hanging fruit. The Browns entered this offseason working out 5 quarterbacks on their roster after drafting both Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders in the 3rd and the 5th round, respectively. Their offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees, says the quarterback room has pretty good competition so far.
I mean, yeah, you can see them all winning the job, I think, right? And so in terms of the competition, we're so early in the process. We're so early in evaluating it. But, yeah, I think, you know, we have a good group of guys that will continue to push one another. And by the time September rolls around, we'll be ready to go.
I'm supposed to say, it's written here, there's been a lot of buzz around Shedeur. I mean, that's like the underestimation of the century right now. All we sometimes could talk about over draft weekend was Shedeur Sanders. And then you put him into this Browns quarterback room, and immediately they jump to the front of the class in terms of most interesting storyline heading into training camp. But is it? That is the question, Jane. Browns quarterback room, is it the most interesting storyline to you heading into training camp?
Liz, I had the Saints draft, which, of course, they needed a quarterback leading up to this. And then you've got one of the more curious storylines that I've covered in my 10 years here at the NFL Network, and that was Carr coming out the week before telling us that he's dealing with this shoulder situation, he had the wrist situation, and then they don't know what they're getting down there. And so, yeah, there was a thought that Shedeur Sanders might fall to them in the 2nd round. Instead, they take Tyler Shough. So let's talk about the quarterback room, because for me, the Saints is the most intriguing, Jamie.
Yes.
I mean, this was a 5-12 team. You've got Shough coming in here who, look, he's a rookie. You took him in the 2nd round. He played 42 games across 7 years. So he's doing some injury. Last year, Cynthia and I were talking about this last night. Well, he at least played all of last season, right? But you don't really know what you're getting from him. Spencer Rattler had real 5-game experience. This was a guy that 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and a passer rating, 70.4. Not exactly something to write home about. And then after that, you've got Jake Haener, and then they went out and got a guy from Iowa Western Community College, this Hunter Deckers kid. Basically, what I'm saying is we've got a lot of questions. There doesn't seem like there is a clear guy there, and then that's what has me wondering if, as you look at, if we get into training camp, are they going to bring in a veteran? So that, for me, is the most intriguing.
At least when we list off the names in the Cleveland quarterback room, we know them. Yes. I have a hard time with Hunter Deckers. I didn't know that about Iowa Western Community College. We might find out. He might get the Kurt Warner treatment. You never know. Kelsey Conway, what do you got? Is it the Browns or is it something else?
So the question was the most interesting storyline heading into training camp. And the reason I say no is because I think it could be the most interesting storyline at the end of the season. But right now, just looking at the fact that they went out and signed Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco is still there on the team, and then them drafting Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round. For me, I just don't see a scenario in which he beats out all 3 of them by week 1. But having covered the AFC North now for 4 years, there's always something interesting that goes on in Cleveland, typically by the end of the season. So if you asked me, is this going to be the most interesting storyline of the NFL season, I could maybe say yes, because I do think there is a scenario in which he could make waves by the end of the season, but not heading into training camp simply just because of the 3 guys in front of him on the depth chart.
I just also wonder if there's a little bit of Cleveland Brown quarterback fatigue as I feel like every year we head into training camp
give it to
in
somebody
the last
else.
couple of seasons. That is an interesting storyline, so maybe that's why it's not top of mind, at least for me.
It's a good point.
Well, the storyline that we heard last year, I think actually is great this year too, but just different team, potentially different player, and that's Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh. Because it is. Are we really going to go with Mason Rudolph there? You invested in DK. You brought in an absolute, that's a real wide receiver that you have real intensity. Yeah, so to me, this one again, you have an aging defense, but still a great defense. You have a guy who's never had a losing season in Mike Tomlin. So are you really is it really going to be Mason Rudolph? No one believes that. But you're waiting on his handshake, and I think, yet again, Aaron Rodgers has us with bated breath.
Yeah,
talk about
the
it.
Steelers are in a funk, and it's like that awkward, we love being 500, we make it to the playoffs, we don't make it very far in the playoffs funk, and you have to imagine Mike Tomlin wants to work his way out of that. All right, so let's turn to the AFC East. In the spirit of making sure we understand everything that's going on in the NFL, we understood that in terms of tabloid photos, Josh Allen got married last week, and apparently the Buffalo Bills quarterback returned to practice fresh off his wedding last week, and congratulations to them. Despite coming off his first MVP season, his offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, says Josh Allen is still in pursuit of more.
What I love about Josh is his demeanor, his approach, his mindset. I mean, it is as impressive as it gets, and it's infectious around the team. So when he walks in the building, you don't see a guy that you don't feel a guy that just won the MVP last year, and it's like, oh, you know what, like, I'm good. You feel a guy that's hungry and is trying to figure out ways to get better and embracing his new teammates and trying to get them on the same page as him. And you know, it's impressive, and I feel like year after year I'm having to do a little less because he's doing more, and that's what's impressive about you know, him as a leader.
That's a good way to put it. He's doing more, so I have to work less. That's a good job to have if you're Josh Allen's OC. Teeing up second down, Josh Allen. Jane, is he the best quarterback in the NFL right now after winning an MVP?
Well, perfect segue. When we're talking about doing more with less, I think you have to consider both Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes in discussion for who is, I think, an MVP at that position. And for me, I think I'd give the edge to a Patrick Mahomes. When you look at their records, for the...
It's such a hard question because there's the category of 4 guys right now in the AFC, and that's Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson. So really trying to nitpick and say, you know, who's better than one. I think it goes back to what Jane said, and that's postseason success, right? And that's why, for me, it's hard to say that Josh Allen is the best quarterback right now because he hasn't gotten the Bills over the hump to the Super Bowl to even win an AFC championship game. And that's why I think in order for us to be able to say and, you know, give him the throne over Mahomes and even Burrow, because he's actually been able to get the Bengals to a Super Bowl, I think he's got to win that AFC championship game and get the Bills to a Super Bowl, and then we'd be able to say it. But Josh Allen's a fantastic player. I love watching him play. So I think that group of 4 right there is the cream of the crop, and they all happen to be in the AFC, so it's tough.
We can't have this conversation and not bring up Lamar Jackson. We just can't, because obviously he's right up there. You talk about winning a Super Bowl. We know, we get it. Playoffs, absolutely. But, I mean, look at the AFC. It's so spoiled with all of these great quarterbacks in general. But I would say when you're looking at a Josh Allen, it will take that win in the playoffs to put him over the top for how this is the Ravens year. And then we can stop worrying about, like, who's the best one, and we can have fun conversations about, oh, okay, who's going to win next? Because we like to look